Hi, everybody. Welcome to Teen Tuesday for April. So, you probably already know this, but April is Poetry Month. So, we're going to celebrate poetry this month by doing some blackout poetry. And I have a super awesome guest to share with you today. And it is the Bram Stoker Award nominated author and poet, Jessica McHugh, who wrote this amazing book, A Complex Accident of Life. Blackout Poetry Inspired by Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, that has some amazing blackout poetry in it. So we have kind of a world expert with us here to do some blackout poetry with us. So hi, Jessica.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Sarah, for having me. This is awesome. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and do my little weird thing with you.
We're so excited to have you. So we'll start out with a couple of questions because we may have some people in our group who have not done this before. So,
Really.
what is blackout poetry?
Blackout poetry is basically looking at an existing page of prose and then finding kind of like the hidden poem or even the kind of hidden story within a page. I think blackout poetry is kind of similar to flash fiction in a way. It's kind of finding something, a hidden thread of a thought or a narrative that is an existing page of prose. So you find that, you kind of single it out, and then you use the rest of the page to create something either beautiful or harrowing or just a piece of art. And it can be beautiful and scary and peaceful and inspiring, and it's so much fun.
Very cool. And yes, yours are often works of art. And I brought a few examples to show our friends here where you can't see the poem so much on the screen, but just to get an idea of like what some of these incredible pieces look like once you're done with them is just amazing because it's so much more than just
Mm.
finding the words. You know, they're illustrations too. They're everything. So, what do you do to like get ready to do this art and this poetry? Like, what do you assemble and that sort of thing?
I mean, it's just so funny. I I really just open a page or leaf through a book and look for a word to jump out at me. An I am, a love is, something that's a jumping off point. I look for a word or a turn of phrase that's a jumping off point that I think is going to create something beautiful. You know what? It doesn't always work. Uh, Sometimes it leads into absolutely nothing. But sometimes it leads into something really, really cool. And not only does it lead into a cool poem, but sometimes you will get a poem that inspires an entire art piece. So I really don't do anything to prepare except open my mind and open a book.
Okay. And what are your favorite tools for doing blackout poetry? Okay. All right. Well, that's simple enough.
And honestly, I mean, I do a lot of commissions. So people will ask me for a certain book, and I'll go and I'll buy it. And unfortunately, it can get a little tough when, like, for instance, I'm working with a copy of Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes. And the edition I got is pretty old. So you can't mess up erasing stuff because it erases the words on the page. It makes it harder to just be able to craft something afterwards if it does damage to the page. So that's just something to keep in mind when working with certain materials. Because the thing is, I mean, you could do this digitally as well. I mean, you could just take a picture of a page and do it all digitally. And that would probably be better when working with older pages if I did that ahead of time. But I just kind of like to dive into the book and the page and let it happen. Um, But I mean, it's all stuff to consider. I feel like blackout poetry is very much, I mean, it's a lot of kind of working parts. You have to be able to kind of work on the cuff. Like if I do mess up, like, am I going to be able to correct? And trying to almost, and this isn't something that happens at first when you're working in blackout poetry, but almost trying to predict what's going to happen down the page, to try to, when you look at the first couple lines, try to look a little bit at the bottom of the page to try to see if you can map it out. That doesn't work all the time, of course. It's a weird it's a weird thing to work in. Like I said, it's like flash fiction where you just kind of have to work with an economy of words, which is not a beginner kind of writer poet.
That was my next question, is that, when you're writing poetry regularly, you can pick whatever word you want.
Yeah.
But when you're doing blackout poetry, you're limited to what's on the page. So what are some tricks you have for spotting them, or some workarounds you have when you don't see a word that you want?
Yeah, so I mean, you can absolutely make words that don't exist on the page. You can, like, if it's, like earlier today, I was working with a Ray Bradbury thing, and it was grew, and I needed grow, and I'm like, come on, and it was like, just give me grow. All I need is grow. And see, the thing is, if there had been an O in the word above it, on the line above it, I feel like I could have made it work. But like I was not given that. And then, so I feel like you can make words within reason. Sometimes it gets a little, where you're like, okay, you're working a little too hard, and maybe you should try to rework this line. And I hit that a lot, where I have to reason with myself. But I mean, I feel like there are no rules. Blackout poetry is so much about the artistry of it, and like there are people that do it even way better. Like they can, like I'm still kind of in the left to right English kind of style. This is how left to right, up to down. And that's a lot of people don't work that. They'll do like big arcing stuff that starts at the bottom left. And I'm like, you are crazy. And no, but I love that. And I want to get to that someday. I think I just need to break out of a little box that I'm in. And like, there really are no rules. So like, if something's holding you back, maybe you need to rework a line. I think that that's worth delving into. Maybe you can rework it and make it better. And a lot of that has to do with having the thesaurus in your brain of like, where can you go from here? How can you rework this? And then maybe it's just break out of the box and go crazy with it. Blackout poetry allows you to do that, which poetry, I think also allows you that kind of freedom.
Yeah. Just not feeling constrained on the page, even though by definition, blackout poetry constrains you to the page. I was just flipping through your book while you were describing that to find an example of where you kind of had done that. And I found one.
Yeah, there's a woman.
Yeah, where you just find the letters you need.
Yeah.
So just because you didn't, if you're making your poem and you know what the next word needs to be, you could find the word.
Because like sometimes like you do hit that, it's like, oh my gosh, I got this beautiful train of thought, and all I need is an of.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why can't you give me an of? There's no F for 3 paragraphs. How did you not use an F? So, I mean, it's just kind of like and that's in the case where you either need to make it or you need to rethink it.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Well, you have inspired me, and I'm sure all of us. So I'm going to do something that I've never done before.
Oh?
Something I never thought I would do. I have a book and I have a blade.
You're gonna blade. You're gonna X-Acto knife it? Oh my gosh.
I've done this to a book before, but you've inspired me. And what I'm going to do with these pages for my friends who are watching is put them in kits for you. Kits will also have a couple of markers, some colored pencils, a couple pages. They'll be over at your school. I'm going to send them over to you there so you can get them easily, or you can come to the library and get them. I'll have a few here for you too. So whichever floats your boat. But in the meantime, we're going to watch Jessica work her magic. So go for it. Let's see some poetry in action.
All right. I got the Phantom Toll Booth here, which is my favorite book of all time. I got some Phantom Toll Booth tattoos, and unfortunately, the author of the Phantom Toll Booth just died like 2 weeks ago, Norton Juster, this is the book that made me fall in love with words and the rhythm of words and like the absolute playfulness of words. Like I love this book so much. So I've done a couple of Blackout poems from it before, but never off the cuff and on screen. So
Yay.
Oh, here we go.
No pressure. No pressure.
I guess I'm just gonna pick this page. No, this edition has a lot of illustrations in it and a lot of like short pages. So I do like to use a lot of times like the title at the top or like anything. Okay, so I'm gonna say confusion. Confusion is the answer. This is so hard to do on screen. Confusion is the answer. A practical. So basically, I'll talk you through it. When I like to do a Blackout poem, I like to do. I'm a big fan of metaphor and simile, and I think something I used to do when I was a kid, especially when I was writing poetry, was I would write pages and pages of just nouns and then like simile or metaphorical things, like a girl is a clock, is a flower, is a petal, is a bomb, is a thing. Like I would just write like all these things. And so because Blackout poetry gives you a limited word bank, you kind of really have to be open with your similes and metaphors. So, you kind of really just have, confusion is the answer. A good evening looking. See, now I want looking for, looking in, looking to. So this is like a very different thing. When you're writing prose, you kind of want to avoid your to be's, your wases. You kind of want those in Blackout poetry because it gives you a line to work for. It gives you a direct line to the end. It gives you, some action. I mean, it's fine if you don't have those, but literally I'm working on a commission for an author who like clearly, has learned to cut all of those out of his writing, and it's been evil. But it's a challenge, but that's fine. A challenge is what we're looking for. We love a challenge, yes, but we also want fun. Something pretty.
Yeah, I'm working on one too now. I tore it a little bit, but I'm going to work around that.
Looking, see, I want a 4. I want a 4. Do we have a 4? We don't have a 4. Well, that's okay. Maybe confusion is the answer. A good evening.
I'm already realizing, because I've read part of this series, but not this one yet. It's totally spoilers on this page I just picked. It's all right. It's fine. I'll get here soon.
And see, I'm actually going to change it. I'm going to change it from good to happy. So that's the thing. It's like, you know, so an interesting thing about, like, I'll find a poem, and then when I go to color it, I might change the entire thing.
Right.
So, like, a lot of times when I go to color something, I'll change the entire end of the poem in the, like, final hour. Like, I'll be halfway through coloring it and be like, this whole end doesn't work. So, like, it's very much like editing a story or something when you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't work at all. You know, so I feel like Blackout poetry, you know, I mean, like any kind of writing or any kind of art, it's a living thing.
Right.
You can't just, once I've, you know, blacked it out or, you know, made the poem, like, that's it. It's still alive and going. And yeah, confusion is the answer. Okay. I want a 4 or an inside. I just
need a
know
letter
that you
M.
could spend a lot of time looking at a page, just like, you know, just being like, like that's what this is. At? You won't give me an at? And a lot of it yelling at a page. Like, Ray Bradbury, Norton Juster, why won't you give me an at?
Yelling helps. That's a good tip.
You're going to spend a lot of frustrated time. But you know what? You find some beautiful, beautiful stuff. And it's fun. It is fun when you find it.
I'm already having fun. This is good.
Confusion is a happy evening. Yourself.
Okay, I think I found one.
I think I found one. Okay. And I love the picture that goes along with it. It's a scary yelling guy. And then when it comes to coloring stuff, I mean, I'm not gonna do it now because I have like a million coloring things that I use, but or I cut stuff out. For me, it's very much just looking at the poem, feeling the poem. What color is the poem? What is it? What is the shape of the poem? You know, how do I feel like the words need to be? Because sometimes the words need to be outlined in like boxes. Sometimes they need to be parentheses or, you know, or circles or something, or they need to be like have a flow to them. Sometimes they need to be separated. So I think it's very much just the feel of the poem.
Yeah.
And that's very much just, I think, personal.
Yeah. I love that. What color is the poem? I love that. I wrote one, teacher Jessica. I did a poem.
Beautiful.
Yay.
You did circles.
I did. I circled I got my words. I don't know what color the poem is yet though.
Yeah. You gotta feel that out. Sit with it. What you're gonna read it? When do we get to?
Sure, I'll read it to you. All right. From Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. Promises burn cold. He swore I will. My heart-strained wish, like scars softened in anger.
Oh, I love it.
Go.
It's so good. I love it.
The words were there.
Yes.
Most of them.
Good bones.
I had to do a few. There's my in was.
Yes. Yep. I got a couple of those too. So from the Phantom Toll Booth, I have confusion is a happy evening, looking at yourself in charge of discovery.
I love that. That's perfect.
But I got a little, discovery. It was like discovery.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. No rules. Well, thank you so much for showing us your process and answering our questions and getting us started for National Poetry Month.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I hope we will do this again.
Yes.
So yes.
So great.
Totally fun. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, friends, for tuning in for Teen Tuesday. I really want to see the poems you come up with, and I'm sure Jessica does too. So
Make good
please
art.
make some awesome art. Come get your kit at your library or mine, and I will break some more books for you because that's how much I love you all. And we will make some art together. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.